Welcome to day 3.
Happy to have you. Welcome, as Janiel says, to Women Healing Together, and specifically this awesome program, Arise, Wives of Wisdom, specially created and thought to stand up with wives and wives to be in mind. My name is Roxanne Francis. I'm the founder of Women Healing Together, and I've been married for 12 years, going on 13.
And I am Janiel Salmon. I'm a communication specialist, and I've been married for 1 year, 2 months, and 3 days. So if you were here with us last night, we're just going to get straight into it. You would have had a challenge, and that challenge is you are supposed to list 5 things about your husband, 5 winning characteristics, and share them with him. If you did that right now, our studio engineer, he's going to drop the link in the chat. It's literally putting in your name, answering if you did the challenge, yes or no. And at the end of our time together, the end of our 21 days, you will be getting a freebie if you are the one with the most points, essentially. So anytime now, the link will drop in the chat. Popsy, any other freebie?
Yes. So if you are with us, right, and you would like to receive a copy of the book, because the book that we're using as a catalyst for Arise Wives of Wisdom is entitled The Ultimate Marriage Vow, 21 Days of Lifelong Commitment by Darlene Schacht. I got her name correct. So if you want a copy of this ebook, there is going to be a second link that is going to be placed in the chat for you to let us know that you want that book.
All right, so we're continuing our journey, our 21 day of habit making journey. And the habit that we're creating is looking in the mirror, right? We're looking in the mirror to be better wives. Journey with me. Journey with me. Imagine that you are a wife. You're married to this awesome, compassionate, non-complaining husband. You have 8 children. All 8 children are under the age of 18. Your husband gets home on this particular day. Of course, the house is a little messy. I mean, you have 8 children dealing with. And he goes into the refrigerator and he retrieves a bottle of peanut butter. And the bottle, the container is slimy. It's dripping in peanut butter. It's just not clean. And your husband, he loses it. He loses it immediately. And he says, listen, this madness, it has to stop. There is no reason on earth why we can't keep this container of peanut butter clean. And of course, you're baffled because right then and there, you are thinking there are 8 darn good reasons why this bottle of peanut butter is like the way it is. Are you with this wife or not? Are you siding with this wife? Let us hear it in the chat. If you are with this wife, type I'm with her in the chat. The story doesn't end there. Popsy.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Many wives are wives to be right now. As you're typing in the chat, you're saying, of course, she's justified. 8 children, all under 18. But as Janiel says, the story continues because just after she defends herself, right, and she has so many things to do, and she's taking care of all of the children. She leaves the kitchen and she leaves her husband standing there filming because he's mad about the peanut butter, and she goes in her sitting area. And as she sits there, she admires the place. It's quite pristine, it's clean. She has certain rules about that sitting room. No gadgets there, no clothes there, no food there. She loves that room. And as she sits there, she thinks to herself, but wait a minute, amidst all the chaos, amidst all the 8 children running around, I managed to keep this room, the only room in the house, clean. Why? Because it was important to her. And then she says, but wait, if it's important to me, I keep it clean. Why is it that I can't keep a bottle of peanut butter clean?
Interesting, Popsy. And it begs the question, are there some things that are just so important to your husband? I can immediately think about worshiping in the mornings, bright and early, 5:30. I
Yes.
can think about the football game. He sees it as important.
Mhm. Yeah. And
And
that is what I'm sorry, that is why this evening our topic is make his priority important to you. That's the topic for day 3. Make his priorities important to you. And we're heading right into speaking some wisdom. Let's tear this apart because listen, it's fire tonight. This is a hot, hot topic.
yes, so the priorities, if we're going to make his priorities important to us, what are some of those priorities? We're talking about the football, we're talking about getting up early in the morning to have worship, we're talking about getting a home cooked meal before he leaves the house and when he returns from work. We're talking about those things.
Mhm.
But really and truly, why are those things important to our husbands? When we
Yeah.
think about it, why
Mhm.
are those things important?
Yeah.
It's
And
about what Popsy.
yeah, just before we go there, though, I would like to hear from the wives and wives to be. I see persons coming in. Hi, Zara, or is it Zara? I think it's Zara.
Zara.
I also see Garden saying hello, glad to be with you again. So happy that you're here. You're like our constant, right? Or ride or die. We haven't seen you from day one, and we are so happy that you're here. So we want to hear from you actually. For those of us who are already here, by the way, all of the other people share they need to be here, right? Let us tell us some of the things that are important if you're already married. Some of the things. Hi, hi, Natoya. Right? What are some of the things that are important to your husband if you're married? And if you're dating, what are some of the things that are important to your boyfriend or to your fiance? And if you're not married, what are some of the things you think are generally important to men that they want? So let us hear it in the chat.
Right. And then as the ladies type in the comment section, I can think about why certain things are important to some husbands. So for example, waking up early in the morning to do whatever, they would have been brought up like that. That's how them grew up. They grew up in the country or perhaps they grew up in the city. It doesn't matter. And what happened when they were growing up, everybody, so grandma or mommy rolled up everybody in the house. And everybody at 5:30 in the morning, it's family worship time. And so they come to value that as a family value, you know. I can think about football, for example. A lot of husbands, they love sports, whether it's basketball, football, whatever it is, cricket. And that's because they value team sports and they value relaxation time, time to just unwind and enjoy. Can you think about anything, Popsy, that other husbands might value? And we're thinking, why on earth do you hold this so dear to you?
Yes, yes, definitely. All right. So, from my experience, what I found out, right, from my husband when we got married is that he values a home cooked meal. When we just got married, he would not eat at a restaurant, right? And that for me was absolutely like, what? Who doesn't want to eat out sometimes? I thought it was crazy because we can remember Janiel growing up every Friday. It was a
KFC.
every Friday we had KFC, right?
It is
Every
a big
single Friday.
thing.
It's a thing, and you're excited, and you feel happy going to KFC or going to Burger King and just going out and eating. And I could not understand why is it that I had to cook every single day. Only having spoken about it, I understood that for my husband, because of his background, he never had the opportunity to go to like a fast food restaurant like KFC. That was not something that was accessible. He grew up in the very rural parts of Clarendon, and they cooked their own food every single day. And listen to this. And it's not just cooking food, but my husband is a dumpling man. He's a dumpling man. I remember. I'm thinking about it right now, ladies in the chat. Talk to me. What quirks do your husbands and husband to be have, Janiel? I remember, getting married and we're living in Mandeville. Maybe for the first week or so, and I feel nice at 20 years old. I feel like I'm in charge. I say, you know what? I'm going to cook some food or some soup, I think it was. And I cooked the pot of food, banana, yam, potato, without dumpling. And I dished up the
Problem.
food nice and carried to my husband, feel like, the best wife in the world, 1 week old. And when the man looked at the plate, after he said thank you, he's like, so where the dumpling there? And it was a big, big deal. And I got defensive, but I slaved and I cooked and you are asking me where's dumpling? And even today, the other day, I wanted to make soup, Janiel. And I said to him, I'm not in the mood to make any dumpling. This is after 12 years of marriage. And the man turned to me and he says, if you're going to cook soup and don't put any dumpling in there, it better you don't cook.
He's a dumpling man.
He's a dumpling man. Donald for dumpling.
But Popstan, the question now comes to the fore. Why are we why don't we see their priorities as important, whether it's a home cooked meal or waking up early in the morning at 5:30 for family worship or watching a football game? Why is it that so many times as wives and wives to be, we just don't view these things as important?
Yeah.
I can think of perhaps one reason. We're just apathetic. We don't find the activity interesting, and we don't see the reason behind it really. We're not enthusiastic. Why on earth can't you eat a plate of food without dumpling? Like, what? What's up with that?
Is the
So we're
word returned?
apathetic, right? So apathy is one of them. And then watching stupid wrestling. Listen, Redwood, yes, yes, yes. And not knowing that it's staged, right? So we're
And
apathetic.
Rochelle also says in the chat, I can relate to that dumpling story because she doesn't like to knead the dumpling either. Thank you, Rochelle. I'm not alone.
So right after apathy, another reason we really don't prioritize what our husbands seem and think and view as important is because many times we view prioritization. If we prioritize his needs and his wants, then it somehow diminishes ours. And that is so, so flawed. And I can think of a very good example. So let's say you go to the doctor, you're not feeling so hot one day, and you go to the doctor. Now, you are a smoothie making person. You love your fruit smoothie. Only to go to the doctor, and the doctor says, Popsan, Zara, Gigi, Mike, uh, I think you really need to prioritize drinking water. Prioritize drinking water. The doctor is not saying, ladies, you should stop making your smoothie. All he's saying is that, listen, treat drinking water as important as you do smoothie making and smoothie drinking. So we need to kick this thing out the door where we think, no, but if I prioritize his needs and what is important to him, I'm somehow diminishing what is important to me. You're literally taking it up a level or a lot of levels and making it equally important to you as your own needs.
Yes, yes. Can I
So we
just
have
can I just highlight something in the chat because the chat is just blowing up. I don't know who this person is, but there is a person in the chat. by the name of George Elson. And that does not sound like a wife or a wife to be.
Welcome, George. We're an open community.
Welcome, welcome. And Jody says, powerful, powerful point, Jan. That was the point about us having the misconception sometimes that if we prioritize something that our husbands to be find important, that is somehow diminishing or significant. I want to just wheel and come again, as we'd say in Jamaica, revert to something. Why is it important? I know that you and I shared specific examples, right? Or yeah, you shared about worship and I shared about my dumpling man. So why is it important? Why is it that our husbands prioritize something so much? Hi, Carol. Welcome, my darling. Welcome. Why is it that they prioritize some things? Why is it so important? George, a laugh off in face. One is because of the values that they were brought up with. So if you think about your husband growing up in a Christian home, for example, from very, very early, he would have been trained to get up in the morning and have worship, versus maybe like Janiel and myself, who became Christians, a little bit later on. That was not something that was inculcated in us from an early age. So it doesn't come as naturally, right? So it's the values that you were brought up with. Something like even spreading the bed. Okay, we so Lord Jenny, I want you to talk about that in a little while. I think that is both of us have that in common, and you can tell because we're sisters. All right, the next thing is that they may associate that thing because of an experience. Think about it, ladies. You like a particular blouse, you like a particular cologne, you like a particular food, you like to go to a particular place. It is not the cologne, the clothes, or the place itself, but the experience that is associated with that. Maybe getting a home cooked meal allows him to feel very homely and secure and comforted. You know what I mean? So it's the experience. Another thing, too, that will cause something to feel very important to our husbands and husbands to be is the feeling associated with it. That feeling of security, that feeling of being loved, that feeling of being wanted. And I think Natoya made a comment earlier. I see the thumbs up, Carol. Natoya made a comment earlier about the fact that men really and truly, I think men want to feel wanted just as us ladies. Great job, Natoya. I saw that earlier. And also, maybe that thing symbolizes something, a major tenet of who he is and what he stands for. So just wanted to share some of those pointers. My dear, spread bed.
Spread bed. Now that's something. So our mother, our lovely, lovely mother, she prioritized education. Yeah. And so in the morning, we were lazy. Yeah, we
Word.
were
I'm
lazy.
out of it now.
We were lazy, 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 lazy while growing up. And but or we although we were lazy though, we were not lazy when it came on to education, right? We were just very tenacious and driven to get a proper education and all of that. That's another story. But because of that, no, our mother, uh, she was a no nonsense mom, still is. So in the mornings, of course, we would get up in the nick of time, just in time for us to get dressed and leave out the house. Hardly enough time to eat anything.
Yes.
And so in that rush, we would 99.9%,
99.999%.
we would leave our beds unspread. That's just how it was. That was the norm. We would just leave it unspread.
Rochelle, we were not like you. Hush.
No, no. And so when we did that, our mom, God bless her, she would just swoop in and she would spread our bed. And of course, when we came home, she would just give us a lashing of the tongue. Why you not spread your bed, Pitney? We're not lazy. But the cycle would continue. The next morning, we would leave out and our beds would be spread. The only time we would spread our bed was on a Sunday,
When we were
really,
cleaning.
when we were cleaning. And that followed both of us.
Hmm.
As adults, we would leave out, and this is us being very vulnerable. We would leave out to go to work, and we bed don't spread. Bed
Don't
don't
keep it
spread.
quiet.
And I remember the first time my husband no realized that no, this is a non-spreading bed girl. He was like, no, John, but you need to spread your bed before you leave out. You need to spread your bed. And I couldn't understand because, hello, I'm going to come in, and I'm going to go straight in the bed anyways. So what's the big deal? And I'm sure Popsy had that experience. So that's also a value system, perhaps for him when he was growing up. Them need to spread them bed,
Mhm,
but not
mhm.
for us. And
Yeah.
so we didn't see it as important, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And the same thing for worship. Why don't we see these things as important?
Yeah.
Uh, just different value systems, really. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
$1 million question, Popsy, is this.
The $1 million question is this. Because we have different value systems and we come from different backgrounds. For example, the dumpling, the spreading of the bed, getting up early in the mornings to worship when we believe that we can worship any time of the day and God still hears us. The big question is, should we force ourselves? Wives, I want to hear what you have to say. Wives and wives to be, type it in the chat. Should we force ourselves to be interested in the things that he prioritizes? He, not me. I don't think you have to spread the bed. I've changed now after many, many years of fussing and fighting. I
Yeah.
finally started spreading my bed. Till when I spread it now, my husband is like, what? You okay? You're right? You're right? And I'm telling him now to spread the bed. So let's hear from you. Should we be forced? Should we be forced to say, all right, yeah, I should be interested in what he's interested in? Okay, so Giovanni is the first one on the blocks. Giovanni says, not force, but compromise in some areas.
Okay, that's a good one.
Okay. Jody says, we have to because we want him to prioritize the things we prioritize. Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Latoya says, no, we should not be, but we can compromise at times.
So the
Yes,
C word is coming out. The C word is coming out.
yes, yes.
But Popsy, I hear the ladies saying, we should compromise and we shouldn't necessarily force. At the end of the day, we should essentially participate in what? Or give them a hearing, give them a
Mhm.
listening ear. If they find it important, we should try it out. But how should, and we have to keep it real, real,
Mhm.
real, real. How really and truly should we deal with him wanting to prioritize a particular thing? And at the same time, you also have a priority at hand, equally important. How do you deal with a situation like that?
Lovely.
So it's the clash of the priorities. How do
Yeah,
you deal with that? And we just have to be real here
you
because
have
those
to be.
situations come up.
Definitely, definitely. Jordan in the chat said it's not really forced, It's not really forced. And Rochelle says we should learn to appreciate what our husband loves, which is true. Zara, Zara says look here, the chat is blowing up. Zara says the last person who gets out of bed should spread it.
Yeah, man,
Hashtag,
definitely.
hashtag life to be. I,
Yes,
I,
Jerry, I
I
am
agree.
with you.
I agree because Johnny and I used to rush out of the beds in the morning whenever we decide to spread it. So the last person who gets out, and it used to be like a big thing. You are the last person who gets out. You should spread it. You end up
No,
not
but you're
spreading
toning
it.
upon it last, so are you for spread it?
Yes, yes. Could you? Natalia says, I love dumplings myself, so I understand. I believe my prospective partner and I should be open-minded to things he likes and vice versa. Look here, I'm telling you. So we just wanted to get your comments in because you are the most integral part of our community. So we want to hear what you say.
I know Jody wanted me to explain something a little bit more. It was really a question, Joe. And the question is, so we are not necessarily forcing, like you would have said, we are compromising. But there are going to be situations when really and truly his priorities are important, my priorities are important. And so compromise is really not even in the game, really and truly. What do you do in those situations? How do you approach those situations when you have a clash of the priorities?
Perfect. So we're proposing here. One thing that we can do is to use the important but not urgent rule. So he wants to get something done. You want to get something done. Both of you feel very, very strong. Jody said, okay, clear his throat, clearing my throat, right? You want to get something done. He wants to get something done. Use the urgent but not important rule. And what it says is you're putting both things on the table. Both of them are important. That's it. It's important to you. It's important to him. The other person should not be saying to the other, oh, it's not important. Why? Because you don't feel it's important. No, that's not how it works. But the distinguishing factor now is the urgency. My priority, does it have to be done right now? If it does not have to be done right now, then we can compromise and give him the scope to do what he wants to do. So that's one way I'm suggesting.
Popsy, but we live in a real world once again. And so there are instances when they're equally important and they're equally urgent,
Mhm.
right? So in those situations, you really and truly just have to make the chips fall where they may. And I can think about a real life situation with my darling husband. One Sunday, we're out Monday to Friday. Sabbath, we go to church. So Sunday is the day when we do everything, literally. And on this particular day, we did the laundry. So, we wash, clothes hang out on the line. And Dean, I don't remember what he was doing. Perhaps he was on his phone or watching football, whatever it was. And I said, Dean, rain a go fall, Go take up the clothes them. That's urgent. Rain a go fall. It's
Mhm.
going to rain. It's urgent. And he's thinking, no, but perhaps I don't want Manu score. I'm gonna see it. That's also urgent. Wives and wives to be, the rain came pouring, pouring, wet up the clothes. Well, almost wet up them, And in that moment, we both rushed out the house, went to take the clothes off the line, retrieve the clothes, and I literally allowed the chips to fall where they wanted to fall. But because of the couple that we are, we just had a real good laugh about it. I never take it too seriously. So there are instances when you have competing priorities, competing things that are equally important, equally urgent, you literally have to make the chips fall wherever they want.
Mhm.
And in some situations, don't take it so seriously. Yeah, the clothes wet up, but at the end of the day, it's not the last suit we had. So you just laugh it off and move on.
Yes.
That's it. But
Yeah.
it does not always work like that.
Yeah. And I'm going to just chime in right here because sometimes allowing the chips to fall where they want to lay means that you'll not be laughing. For example, your husband may say, you know what? I want to buy a car or I want to buy a pair of shoes, some gadget that he loves. My husband loves books. He would buy books like crazy.
Yeah.
And sometimes in my mind, you don't need another book. You already have so many books on your iPad and so many books on the house. Sometimes it means, for example, buying that book may put an increase on the credit card or buying that book may take money from the bank account or in the envelope at the house that should have been used or could have been used to pay a bill. Maybe it's the water bill, the electricity bill, whatever the case may be, right? Or some emergency comes up and that money is gone. Sometimes allowing the chip to fall where they may is allowing our darling husbands with all the love in our heart to face the consequences of their actions. It's a
Yeah.
real world. So your priority was to do this, and as a consequence of you putting that priority, right, as a consequence of prioritizing that that priority, things fell out, right? What can you do as a wife? You can't do anything. He knows has to understand that you spend the money to do that. No, the light is disconnected. You know how to find a solution, right? So sometimes it's just a hard lesson, just like that. Another thing that we can do when it's not just laughy, laughy and have a great time, and as wives, we are known for this, having a contingency.
Yes.
Having a contingency just in case his priority does not work out positively. We as women, and if you don't practice it, you should always have a little something stashed off somewhere.
Mommy always told us that.
Always have a little money stash off somewhere, especially as it relates to the monetary things, right? What if it's something relating to schedule or schedule? You maybe you're going to be running late. You may say, okay, although we're the ones who are usually late. You may give a
True.
half an hour in advance, so you start a little early. Can I use a real life example here?
Please.
My husband and I, we travel a lot since COVID, no, but we are always on the road, especially when he was studying in the US. We're always traveling 8 hours, 12 hours, going to different states in America, coming to Canada, and even in Jamaica while we were there. Janielle, wives to be, sisters, women healing together, family, arise, wives of wisdom, ladies. My husband does not like to pack food. Now, if you were brought up in the house that Janiel and I were brought up in, food is a big thing. We
Big thing.
big
We
thing.
always have a little bag.
We always have food. If there are excursions at school, they can count on Popson at St. Jago because Popson is going to have two chicken fried and I'm the only one who's supposed to eat it. Because I'm going to be, that's just how mommy raised us. So my husband would not want to pack the food, especially if he's going out alone. And I would say to him, you're going to get hungry. Pack the food. And when he's out now, he calls, Lord, hungry, kill me. In my mind, I'm like, are you serious? I told you to pack the food, right? So what was my contingency, Rochelle? I always pack. It doesn't matter how small it is. If we only have crackers, if you only have bulla, if it's only water, I'm packing something as a contingency because his priority at that time is get us where we're going. And in my mind, we need to delay 10 minutes so I can cook and pack
Food.
the food.
Yes, 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 and yes. My name is Janiel Salmon, and I endorse that message. Okay? Hoptan. So we would have spoken about just priorities in general and how we treat with equally important, equally urgent priorities.
Mhm.
If we are going to participate in activities and engagements that our husbands really view as priorities, what are the many faces? How can how can that look like? So if we are treating these things as important, what will it look like?
Mm. So, in essence, my darling Sisibu, we want to say, how does prioritizing practically, right? That's what you're saying. How does it, what can it look like practically? Well, one is to actively participate in the things that he finds important. So if it's a football game, and let me talk about the participating. I mean, actively participating when you enjoy what he's prioritizing, actively participating when you may dislike what he's prioritizing, and actively participating even sometimes when you don't feel like you want to participate. Case in point, and you have heard it before, my husband loves watching movies. And when he's watching movies, he doesn't choose movies. He most time chooses shows, six series, right? 6 seasons, 7 seasons, and he's not watching one episode tonight. One, no, he wants to go from evening till morning. Sometimes, as I said, you may set your boundaries and you say, honey, all due with respect, I can't do it right now because of whatever the case may be. But when you can, you actively engage and you are there. You don't sit in the couch and watching football, but you're talking to your friend, or your face is so scrunched up because you really, really don't want to be there, but actively being in the moment with him. Why? It's important. It's not the thing. It's not the thing. It is the significance of the thing to him.
Right, right. And so you mentioned the point, Popsy, about actively participating even when you dislike the thing.
Mhm.
So this really calls for a radical mindset shift, because many times when we dislike something, we think, no, we can't bother with that. But what does the thing that we so dislike, what does it represent? And if what it represents trumps the actual activity that we supposedly dislike, then really and truly we can give it a try.
Yeah, like kneading the dumpling. And
Yeah,
you know something, Jenny, and our ladies here, let's talk about the dumpling thing. I used to protest. I still don't like kneading dumplings. And I hate ironing. Hate it. Detest it. Because in our home, growing up, we never had to press any man's clothes. Sometimes we did. You know what the thing is, Johnny, you remember this? We used to pay our stepfather to press
to
our
press for
uniform.
us. $50 uniform.
Give him a little 50, give him a little 100. So we never learned to press a man's clothes. We never had to press his clothes. So coming into marriage now, and my husband is a pastor, which means a lot of shirt and tie and pants and those things. I realized that because I tried, even sometimes when I was grumpy, I'm telling you the honest truth, and I complain every time I put the iron on the shirt, Johnny, and I'm complaining and fussing, and my face is scrunched up, and I'm angry. And After a while, you know what he started doing? He started pressing his own clothes. And if I say to him, honey, I'm not in the mood to knead, you know what he says? All right, baby, you do that. I'll knead the dumpling. Why? Because he realized over a period of time that I was valuing something that was important to him. And he realized that I hated doing it so much that he only asked me to do it when it's absolutely necessary, right? And that's how it is in relationships. So you may ask someone to do something and they really don't like it, but when they do it, it's like you value them more because they came out of their comfort zone just for you.
I know Gigi Mike asked a very, very important question that's at the core of the discussion. How do you do all of this without losing your identity?
Mhm.
Losing your individuality. How do you do it? Because the truth is, if he likes football and I dislike it, am I being force compelled really to like football? And again, we are saying, Gigi, it's not the activity of it all. It's what the activity represents. So, watching football, for example, is relaxing for him, and he would like you to participate in that relaxation.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we are saying. But the truth is, Popsy, many ladies and wives to be, they might be saying, but if I don't like pressing, why am I even going to put myself through all of that? That's just not up my lane at all.
Yeah.
So am I not trying to please him? And in pleasing him, am I not losing my individuality? How do
Mhm.
we maneuver that kind of situation? Because it's really not black and white. How can we do that? The
Yes.
moment is more important than the activity. Thank you, our engineer.
And it's a mindset shift because just as how you're valuing his his priorities or things that are important to him in the very same way, that does not mean that you're not going to do things that are important to you. So it's not an either or mindset, right? Also, I've learned, I remember one time my husband and I were in counseling, and he said, you know what? When I ask my wife to do something, she just says no. And he was quite caught up about the fact that I just said no. And I said to him, why are you upset when I say no? If I don't want to do it, I just don't want to do it. And he said something very important. He said, I don't have a problem with you not wanting to do something that I ask you to do. That's important to me, though I would love for you to do it. But at least give me a justification, at least an explanation. So, my dear, I would love to watch football with you, but right now I'm really, really busy because I have to take care of the children. Can we do it another time, for example, right? And I think that would be a better appreciation more than just saying, no, I don't want to do it. I have an attitude and cursing about it. And the thing is, too, something that popped in my mind is that when a husband, listen to this, my darling, darling wives and wives to be, when your husband or husband to be invites you to participate in a space that he values, football, worship, whatever it is, you know what that means? It means he values you. He means he wants to connect with you. He means he wants to share the moment with you. Because I am sure that there are some women out there that their husbands could not care less if they want to do anything with them, which sends a strong signal. I don't care. Right? So again, it's a mindset shift.
Right. I know there is another question from Norma about some of those men who are cultured a particular way, cultured to thinking that, hey, housework, a woman work. Housework, a woman work. Woman work. How do you deal with that? Because that's a priority, but it's a priority that can cause very easily cause women to be burnt out, frustrated, and burdened, really. So, how do we deal with that as a priority? Like we
Yeah.
would have shared earlier, it's really not black and white. It's really not black and white. I know that in some situations, and I know Popsies are more mature, I'm not going to say older, I mean, a more mature wife than I am. But certainly in some situations, my husband can tell you when I met him, I told him straight up, I'm not in the cooking thing, me not in the washing thing. And first of all, he does not wash weekly. He would normally wash like 2, 3 times for the week. I am not into that. I am I'm not, and I told him straight up, and he can tell you, he always tells the story. But when I became a wife, I recognized that these things were really important to him. And I know they were important to him. And he know it's not that he was asking me to do it, but I know deep down that he values these things, right? And so before I knew it, I was making more of an effort. And Popsy, you can vouch for me. On a
Yes.
Sunday I'm cooking, and I used to tell my husband, cook what? No, on a Sunday I need to rest. I'm working all week. But I recognize that because I love him, I am prompted to do these things. I'm not doing it so that he loves me. I'm already loved, and I know that. And so, because I'm already loved, and because I know that he values these things, the love for him prompts me to prioritize his priorities.
Yeah,
And
girl.
that's for the
Mm,
good men.
mm,
You
girl.
have
Mm,
some men out there though, because we have to be real.
yes.
We have to be real, real. You have some men out there where they love the wife, probably it's a weak love, I don't know. But the wife is not, perhaps because of the hurt or how the husband treats her. She's not going to be prompted by any love to do any housework, even though, and he's going to be asking her to do it and expecting her to do it. How do you treat with situations like those?
Yeah.
So
You
it's
know,
not the pretty ones.
we have alluded to it many, many times. And we said it yesterday. I'm going to say something before that, and this is specific to wives to be. The question was asked, what if you are married to someone who is, he believes that the wife is supposed to do all the work, or you're married to a man who believes that he doesn't need to show you any emotions. Once he's providing, then that's all you need because of how it was culture. And listen to me, wives to be. As women, we were created by God to be incubators. We're created by God to nurture and to cause things to flourish. And with that innate created gene and instinct that we have, so many times we see things before marriage and we say we are going to change him. No, you're not going to change him. Whatever you see before marriage, when you get married, it's going to be multiplied 100 times. So while you're courting, dating, go to him yard, go around him and his mom and his siblings and see, is he helping? Or is it that he sits and watches his mom and his sister do all the work? That is an indication. No matter how much you love him, if you know, for example, Janiel's example, Janiel says she was not in the holy house and the cooking and all of that. Part of that is because she has an older sister who did all the cooking, but that's a different story, right? If she went around and she saw that Dean is the type of man who allows his mother and grandma and sisters and whomever to do everything, that should be a red flag for her, because when she marries him, it's not going to change,
Yeah.
right? So the flip side of that is you are already in the marriage. What do you do? The decision has been made, and you now have to find the best way that you can cope. Doing the house chore does not mean that you're going to be the nanny and you're burnt out. Sometimes you just have to do what you can do. And I've learned that. You just have to do what you can do. I know you want the dishes to be washed every single evening, but he needs the help and he may not wash it tonight, and it's crawling in your skin because you don't want to go to your bed with the dirty dishes in the sink. But he says he was going to do it. Leave it in the sink and he will wash it. Hopefully, it's not going to take a week. You know what I mean? But the decision has been made, and you just have to cope the best way you can. Because the truth of the matter is, if the husband is not willing to change, and if he's not allowing God to change, the priority is not him cleaning the house, then what you going to do, moms? What you going to do? You can't do anything but cope and be the best in this situation. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for those questions, though. Very, very, very good questions. So Zara is saying, let's balance the mindset shift. The wife's priorities are not met by the husband's. And that is true because you just delved into that, Zara. That is very true. There are instances when the priorities of the wives are really not met by the husbands. And what do you do in those situations? Do you be the bigger person? What do you do? And I must tell you that while we're talking about where's the mirror, this is what we're doing. We're looking in the mirror, right? And when we look in the mirror, we are looking at ourselves, right? So for this particular program, the objective really is not to look at the men, to look at the husbands, right? The
Yeah.
objective is to see how really and truly we can nurture marriages by working on ourselves, by
Mhm.
looking in the mirror and improving the way we go about with creating that positive, flourishing atmosphere for the marriage. But we are not diminishing your concern, those there, because the truth is there are some husbands and the needs, they're not meeting the needs of the wives. That's going to be a next show, though. How do
Yeah.
you treat with that?
Yes, I agree. So we said participating. The next phase of prioritizing what's important to him is just allowing him to be.
Yeah, and I have a very, very good example for this. A friend of mine would have shared this example. And she said she has a husband, hardworking, loving guy. He works 5 days a week, sometimes on public holidays, and of course, we go to church on Sabbaths. So he's only home on a Sunday. And if you know anything about the English Premier League, some of the biggest games, they are hosted on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays out, he's at church. So Sunday is the match day, but Sunday is also the house store day, right? And she would wash the clothes. She would do the laundry and she would say, listen, we need to hang out the clothes. No, we need just hang out the clothes, Nadir, just hang out the clothes. And he will say, but soon hang it out, man, just after this match. And she would always fuss about it. And eventually she would just go outside and hang out the clothes. Frustrated, vexed, annoyed, everything in one. And then it came to her that no, but this man of mine, he works so hard. And really and truly, he's not going out to enjoy himself. All he does, all he wants is to sit and watch the game on a Sunday. No trouble, peace of mind. He just wants to sit and enjoy the football game. And when she came to that relaxation and recognized that, but if he hangs out the clothes 2 hours later, they're still going to be dry. She just stopped. She just stopped pesting him. And in that moment, from that moment onwards, Sundays have been peaceful in her home because she would have learned that prioritizing what's important to him in that situation means allowing him to enjoy it, even if she's not sitting with him and participating.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. And we transition in the third way to show that you are prioritizing what's important to hobby or hobby to be. Sometimes you won't be there to actively participate. Sometimes you just can't be. Sometimes what you will do is to just cheer him on. Just
Be
cheer
his
him on.
cheerleader. Yeah.
Send him a text message, call him. You know what I mean? If he's playing the match, maybe cricket. I don't know anything about cricket. My husband, like Janiel's husband, loves cricket. So what do I do to cheer him on? I'm not going to go on the field and play. I'm in the stand and I'm the loudest wife. I'm the loudest wife. Just pure excitement and cheering him on. My husband, I remember when he was studying and I was inundated with a whole lot of things and he expected me because of my expertise to edit all his papers, and there are times when I could not edit his papers, but and he understood that sometimes. So what did my cheering him on look like? It may be, baby, how is the paper going? Are your thoughts coming together when he gets the A's? Are have you submitted? Showing that we value even though we're not there and we're not able to participate actively.
Yes.
All right?
Yes. Let's talk about the folly versus flourish as
Yes,
we wrap things up tonight.
yes,
So, society says if you're prioritizing your husband's needs, what's important to him, then you simply can't say no. That's foolishness. The flourish side of things, as Popsy alluded to earlier, if you want your marriages to flourish, you're not superwoman. You can say no, but don't leave it at no. Validate and justify. Tell him why it is that you are unable to prioritize his needs right now in this moment.
yes. Okay. And the next folly, the world says prioritizing your husband's needs or something that is important to him means that you're docile, means that you're submissive. And when we talk about the word submissive in the
So
Christian
yeah.
context, it's like you don't have a mind of your own. Folly
Hmm.
also says that if I prioritize something that is important to my husband, then I am suppressed, that I'm being dominated, that I'm a yam
Yeah,
head.
man.
What
Venke,
other word do
venke,
we have apart from
venke.
menke, mankete, man
Man
clown?
clown, man clown.
But that's not the case, right? Because remember, we want to shift that mindset. Prioritizing something that is important to your husband, the flourishing side says it is not the thing that you may necessarily value or that you may necessarily like, but it is out of the love for your darling husband and your darling husband to be. You're not being dominated because it's not taking away from who you are, and it's not taking away from the things that you enjoy. You're just stretching your capacity to accommodate somebody else's needs.
Yeah, so you're not losing your identity. And now is the time when, after saying and sharing all that we have, we just take a moment to digest everything and to take things a little bit more seriously with a vow. And
Mhm.
today's vow is simple: to consider your husband or your husbands to be priorities as you do your own. So if this is your vow, I invite you to drop the words "I vow" in the chat. If you are not quite there yet, it's fine. It may take some time. Only if you're serious, you make this vow. If
Yes.
you're serious to consider your husband's priorities as you do your own, then we invite you to type "I vow" in the chat.
Yes, yes. Because right now we are arising in wisdom, right? Wisdom arise. That's what we're doing. We spoke wisdom, we practice wisdom. Now we arise in wisdom. Thank you, Sonia. Sonia says, I vow. I vow, I vow. Rochelle says, by the grace of God. By the grace of God, what you do? You vow, you vow. Wonderful. Keep those coming in. Keep those coming in. As we continue in the Arise in Wisdom segment, we will also be talking about our challenge. What is the challenge for day 3? What should you be doing between now and tomorrow at 7:30 Jamaican time, 8:30 ED time? The challenge for day 3 is place one thing. One. Start with one. Place one thing that is important to him at the top of your list and do it. Can be something very, very simple, right? Place one thing that is important to your husband and do it. And if you're not yet married, Colleen, I see your emoji. And if you're not yet married, think about that one thing that men may find important. And we have cited so many examples here. And make a commitment if you're not yet married that you will do that thing if your husband to be is liking will like that. If you're accepting the challenge, what do we want our wives and wives to be to put in the chat, Janny?
Challenge accepted. We're up for this. Challenge accepted. Drop it in the comment section.
Challenge accepted. But wait, nobody accepting the challenge. Natalia says, listen, in my opinion, the good book says, do unto others as you would like them do unto you. Yes, that's what it says.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So we're closing off. We're closing off, and we're seeing the challenge accepted coming in. Let us seek wisdom as we close. And as is customary, if it's your first time joining us, you're married, you need to have a picture of your husband. Jenny, may I see yours, all of yours? Good. You need to have a picture of your husband. We are about to pray and ask God to help us to stay true to our vows and to execute the challenge. If you're not yet married, it's all right. It's your all right. God knows if you will be married, who that husband will be. So you're giving that man whom you have not yet met to God. It's okay, Natoya. It's okay. All right. Let us pray. Heavenly Father God, we are so grateful for your goodness and your mercy. We're so grateful for Jesus Christ who came and he taught us how to esteem others above ourselves. As wives, you have also been teaching us in our marriages to esteem our husbands by prioritizing what is important to them. Not because we are less important, not because they are more important, but simply because we're in a lifelong commitment. We love our husbands, we value them, and we want them to be happy just as how we want them to make us happy. So, in the name of Jesus, right now, as we hold the pictures of our husbands, and for those who are not yet married, as they give that man to God whom they have not yet met. I pray in the name of Jesus that the vow that we have vowed this evening will not fall to the ground, but through the power of the Holy Spirit living in us, that we will carry out that vow, not just for tomorrow, but for the rest of our lives. We also ask God for those of us who find it challenging sometimes to prioritize things that are important because maybe we're not brought up that way, maybe because it's not important to us, but we really, really want to try to make our husbands happy by prioritizing what is important to him, just as how we prioritize our own self-interest. We ask that you may take away selfishness. We ask that you may take away murmuring. We ask that you may take away just having a heavy heart when doing these things, but that you will love our husbands through us, because you are indeed love, because God is love. Teach us how to love. And as we love you and fall in love with you, our first husband, we will in turn give that love to our earthly husbands. We thank you and we give you praise in Jesus' precious name. Amen. 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 I think Jenny is frozen. She's frozen on screen. Maybe it is her internet connection. Ladies, wives, oh,
Amen. Okay.
yes, you were frozen for a moment.
Somehow I'm not hearing you. I'm not sure if you can hear me. My
I
darling
hear
husband decided to call me, and so my audio is out. So kept opening my eyes during the prayer. But
you.
if you're hearing me, thank you everybody for joining, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, my darlings. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Remember to share. Remember to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Like. Please, please share. We need more women to be a part of Arise Wives of Wisdom. See you tomorrow. Bye.